Welcome everyone to the 20th episode of Game On, a series of conversations started by G2G.News through our flagship YouTube show, where we try to have a engaging dialogue or conversation with various stakeholders in the gaming industry. Today we have with us Sanzar Adnan Alam, founder and CEO of Game Changer, Bangladesh's oldest fantasy sports platform. Sanzar has been a serial entrepreneur, having started various companies, including Debug, which is a technology startup. He's from a technology background, and he's also a professor, a lecturer at Independent University down in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Today, Sanjar is joining us from Dhaka to talk more about the fantasy sports and online gaming industry in Bangladesh, which is, as we all know, a very emerging economy, but less talked about from the gaming perspective, from fantasy sports perspective, very nascent market. So, welcome Sanjar on the show. Great to have you.
Hello, Jay. Hello, everyone. My pleasure to be here.
Right. So, Sanjar, if you can tell us more about the fantasy sports market in Bangladesh and the online gaming market in Bangladesh, and it all seems to be very new and catching up as compared to India or other places in the West, probably
Right.
because internet penetration and other things have just started to catch up in that part of the world, although it's a sports crazy country. I believe you guys love your cricket and football. So can you tell us more about the industry and how you started Game Changer?
Absolutely. I mean, the industry is huge. Like, to be honest, if you think about the gaming industry, that's remarkably huge. And even the fantasy sports itself, the market is crazy here, because similar to India, people are way too connected with the cricket and football, or in general with sports. Even we treat sports in many region like a religion as well, similar to India, right? So
Right.
the market crazes are definitely there. I would say in terms of the main setback we are having is in terms of regulations, because the fantasy sports or real money gaming, or the gaming in general, is not yet regulated. That's why companies like ours are struggling to push for the growth. But we in general, we can say our scenario situation is more like a what India's situation was in maybe 2011, 12, where things were getting heated up. It was still unregulated, but there was a couple of lawsuits and stuff like that. So we are kind of in that region. But since the regulatory framework is we kind of follow our surroundings, or what India's footstep in a way, in terms of legality. So we are very hopeful in pretty soon, hopefully we will be able to get it regulated, because right now there are a couple of big players already here. We are working for almost 3 years. There's another platform, Game of 11. They're similar, working for almost 3 years. There's one telco company, Exeter Limited. They launched their daily fantasy sports modality. They're working for almost a year now. Uh, there's another Indian company, 11 Wickets. They are of ability games. They are on the process of entering the Bangladesh region as well. So things are getting really interesting. And in terms of games, we have the Ulka Games, which was a subsidiary of Moonfrog Labs, and they got acquired by a Steelfront Group. So they are promoting the game market a lot in Bangladesh. Games like Tin Patti or Ludo, they're becoming very famous in Bangladesh. So things are getting very interesting and heated up recently.
So, can we'll talk about the regulations and legality in a bit, because that's going to be a big piece, and lot will depend on how the market will emerge based
Right.
on the legality. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But about the market and industry, can you share some numbers on what the industry size and the potential looks like in Bangladesh?
Absolutely. I think last time ICC revealed like a data, like there's like almost 50 million just cricket fan in Bangladesh.
Right.
That number is huge, and the best part of it is like our like a more than 40% is our youth, and they are the main attraction of the market. So the age group from say 18 to 35, like we are passing through the creamiest like a generation in terms of like a from marketing aspect. And in our like a even for internet penetration rate is like a way high, and there's almost 90 million mobile internet users in Bangladesh. So the population, the youth, the internet penetration, everything is tending towards like a, in general, not just gaming or mobile gaming or fantasy sports. In general, Bangladesh is like a treated as one of the next big thing to happen in the coming
Yes.
decades or something. So like the disruption happening here is remarkable. All kind of funds are coming in. So all these startups are getting really good investment from abroad as well. So altogether, the market is really ready and it's just waiting to disrupt.
And apart from fantasy sports, are there any other offerings in online gaming or online real money gaming, like card games or casual games that are currently prevalent in Bangladesh?
In general, like even I think from India's perspective, the we saw the growth of like a rummy or poker games after the fantasy sport got legalized by the term of game of skill, right? After that we saw the growth of like a rummy and poker, saying it's a game of skill as well. So I think that's what we are missing right now, because the fantasy sports as a game of skill, we are still to be regulated as a game of skill. Hence we are not trying to regulate those rummies or other card games right now. I think fantasy sports first will get the game of skill approval, then maybe there's a chance the rummy or other card games can get regulated.
Uh, as far as Game Changer is concerned, can you share a little bit more about your journey, about how the numbers have been so far, and how the response from the users has been so far?
Absolutely. I think first, like I'm a like a I come from also tech background, but I'm a very big sports fan. I follow English Premier Leagues. I play their FPL every year since maybe 2010 or something, and I'm a big Manchester United fan. So altogether, my journey with tech and sports basically it's kind of it was something about to happen all the time, and I always like a working with some way or other how we can combine the my passion for sports and my technical capabilities. Hence the idea of fantasy sports came in, because I remember like back in 2012 I bought a domain for fantasy sports BD, but at that time I thought the fantasy sports market is way more niche, and the market was not ready back in 2012. I was like a last year student of my college university. So after graduation I thought no, it's not, might not be the time. But what we did, like we launched a me with one of my friends who is working as a CTO in my farm as well for Game Changer as well. So we launched a mobile app. It was like a it was in 2012 for, I guess there was football World Cup there or cricket. I think football World Cup. So it was like a predictive quiz app where you can I will give you some kind of a predictive question for upcoming matches. Before the match, you have to answer those questions, and if you answer correctly, we'll give you like a $20 of mobile recharge or stuff like that. It was just a fun thing we started with. We followed that in 2016 as well. We launched a similar app, and the response was quite interesting. So I thought the market was always there where you like do some kind of a prediction game, and based on the performance you get some kind of reward. So that was a good sign for me, like okay, like if people are really enjoying this. And hence when I was in States in 2018, I saw the merging scenario of like a DraftKings and FanDuel. They were trying to merge, and
Yeah,
the biggest fantasy sports operators. There was a breaking news everywhere. Then I came back to Bangladesh. I saw the growth of Dream 11. It was remarkable. And all those basically like it popped up in my head. Why not? Let's do something here in Bangladesh. So we launched a similar fantasy Premier League version of Bangladesh in 2018. It was a free to play fantasy Premier League where like it's a season long, not the daily modality, but it was a season long
right.
where you can like a weekly create your team, and top of the any game week will get some kind of reward. So it was very appreciated by a lot of users without literally without any marketing, just uh, marketing through our words or friends. We got close to like a 4 to 5 thousand users there who played almost 1 year with us for winning nothing. Literally, it was just free to fun to play, and that encouraged us as well. During the 2019 IPL, we basically launched our platform, Game Changer. So we thought, okay, season long was appreciated by a lot, and we are seeing the daily fantasy sports growth in India and around the world. So we thought, why not? Let's do something similar for Bangladesh user and let's tap the market. So from 2019 to now, we are doing decent. Since we didn't raise much investment, we are still bootstrapping in a way. So we are not seeing that growth yet because the again it comes down to the regulatory boundaries. So once we hurdle past the regulatory boundary, we can really see the growth. So from 2019 to now, we have like roughly 2.5k to 4k monthly active users, depending on like a tournaments and everything. Like during the IPL or World Cup, we get almost 5,000 monthly active users. Without like any big tournaments, roughly 2.5 to 3k monthly active users we are getting. And the revenue stream is not that bad either. So like a gross transaction volume is close to I think in terms of BDT or dollars, roughly 10,000 to $12,000 every month. So the transaction volume is there as well. So with very limited user base, and if we can grow at a very higher rate, we can really do something here.
Right. And very interesting initial numbers. And you talked about regulatory and legal hurdles coming in the way of scaling up. Uh, but as I understand, the law relating to gambling in Bangladesh is the same as India,
Right,
by and large.
right,
The Public Gambling Act, which is kind of a legacy of the British, right? The 1867 law,
right, right.
and that law merely says that games of skill are exempt from the act, and then it comes down to the court interpreting it and court giving
Right,
uh, rulings. And in India, several high courts and also in a way the Supreme Court has dismissed the high court appeal. So the Supreme Court is also kind of blessed fantasy sports as well as certain other games being game of skill. What is the position in Bangladesh, or is it just adopting the position taken by India? And how do we compare the legality in India versus Bangladesh, or whether the favorable rulings or the regime in India would be helpful in in the courts in Bangladesh?
no, definitely the example set by India will might play a big role here, because since the law is very new here, so we look for like a similar region where things are happening. So we when we see at India, we see like a they're having the exactly same gambling law and they're allowing it. That might influence our legal system in a way. And also I think it comes down to the general people's perspective in a way. Like a to be honest, like we all know how the legal system in Southeast Asia region works, right? So it literally comes down to the what people want or what people are like thinking about it. So if people, majority of the people think, oh, no, it's like a bad thing, it's gambling and all, legal system will bend down to their side a bit. So there's a bit tricky situation in a way, because like a being in a Muslim majority country, that might not be well accepted everywhere, but it's a very tricky situation, to be honest. And uh, as of now, there's nothing here in terms of like a whether fantasy sports is legal or game of skill or not, because
There is no court ruling or
no
any.
controlling. But interesting thing is like a few years back there was like a high court ruling for like a there are a couple of clubs where
Yes.
you play like housey and all. So they are kind of stopping that, saying houses and those are not game of skill. So in a way I appreciate that, because they are taking into consideration about the skill part, and which might help us to establish ourselves as a game of skill, because
And I think the High Court, in one of these rulings, had also asked the government to change the Gambling Act according to the changing times, to amend the Gambling Act.
absolutely, because like
Is,
there's
is,
so
is
many
there any
things.
discussion at all at the government level on this right now?
Not yet, not yet.
But at the same time, you are saying what happens in India, and in India also, as you see, there are a lot of challenges. Court and states are trying to ban or regulate the industry. So and the matter is going to be heard again in the Supreme Court in terms of whether the state can ban it or not. So
Right.
so you think all that will play a big role in influencing how the policy is shaped in Bangladesh?
Yes, they will play a big role, because as I said, like since there's no like a past data for like a fantasy sports and anything in Bangladesh, so we will follow what is happening in India or Pakistan or in Sri Lanka. But our legal system is more like a uh, more
Common law.
similar common laws with India's and Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
So it won't be the first time like a something has happened in India and we have adapted that. There's many other situation there, because India's legal system is way more older than our legal system. So
Right.
that might play a big role.
And in terms of, you said you have been bootstrapped so far, but how has the investor interest been for the industry so far? In India, we are seeing a huge rush for, we see big PE funds funding online gaming startups, and some of them even becoming unicorns. How has the investor interest been for the tech space and for this space in Bangladesh?
Yeah, for tech space is it's amazing. Like buying this year has been remarkable for Bangladesh in terms of for foreign direct investment, and for the fantasy sports, the since the like like the big investor VCs, they want some kind of a regulated field, right? Because like the market India is seeing now, all because Dream 11 had to fight those legal battle, and they established fantasy sports as a game of skill. Hence like there's another 200 platforms getting investment,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But in Bangladesh, since we are yet to make that step, we are struggling in a way to onboard foreign investment for the fantasy sports. But in general, for gaming or other tech space, the investment is there. But people are a bit hesitant to invest in a space where it's not regulated yet. But for unfortunately, like we missed one of our investment round. It was from a kind of like a in a way you can say merger from an Indian counterpart. But due to COVID, like we had to reschedule and we missed that round. So that was a bit unfortunate. Else maybe things would have been very different.
Right. And final question before we let you go: what are the future plans for Game Changer, and how do you see it going in the next 5 years or so?
I think what we are trying to do is like make a full ecosystem, not just the fantasy sports. We are planning to come up with like a sports content or like a sports streaming, what like where we want to give our sports fan a proper platform to get engaged, and hence that's what our goal is. Like we want to have a proper ecosystem where any sports fan or any gaming fan or gamers can come and spend some healthy time. So that's our goal will be in the coming years, but it all depends how the regulatory framework supports us, to be honest.
Right. Thank you so much, Sanzar, for your time. We'll keep a track of what's going on in Bangladesh. Very interesting. As you said, we hope for more clarity and certainty on this industry from the government and courts. And once that happens, I think there is no stopping this boom from continuing
Right.
in Bangladesh.
Right.
Uh, Thank you so much for your time, and thank you all viewers. This was the 20th episode of Game On, and the last episode for this season or this edition of the show. Over the last 20 conversations, we've tried to have a dialogue with a wide-ranging set of personalities, including policy experts, lawyers, and founders of some of the leading companies in the online gaming ecosystem in India. Uh, we'll continue to, of course, track the industry and post engaging content on our YouTube channel, G2G uh, news, and our website and social media pages. So do hit the subscribe button and keep and follow our YouTube channel and our social media pages given in the link description below. Uh, as I said, we'll be back with more engaging content and a new avatar of Game On or similar conversations that will continue. Uh, uh, I would like to thank all our viewers for all the support, feedback that was given over the last few months, and I hope to continue receiving the same support and feedback that we have been receiving, and keep watching G2G. All of you very happy and prosperous new year. 2022 is going to be an to keep track of all developments. Thank you very much and have a great year ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.